And I can't see the fucking screen either. God, we are a shit show. We are a complete shit show. Can you rotate the monitor so that I can see what's going on? See, this is what happens when you redo your whole setup. My wife was like, "Oh, you're gonna have so much more room in here." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I can't fucking do anything." Perfect. Look at this. I can't even sit this anywhere. I don't know where my drink is. I had a drink going on. Probably look like shit right now. Sounded good. Okay, thanks. Thanks,
Okay.
mother. One of these two is going to be monitoring your comments because I can't see a fucking thing from this far back. I'll be honest with you. And I'm going to have to get back even further so that I can get on the microphone here. I think this is a fucking mess.
Oh my god, I'm going to need to wear glasses to see.
I know. You know what I'm saying? I can't, dude. If you got, I appreciate your comments. I have no idea what you're saying. And the mouse is way over there. Oh, fuck. We are normally much more organized than this. I promise you that. No, we're not. I don't know who I'm kidding. Okay, here we go.
How can I get that screen on my phone? Where do I need
I
to
don't
go?
know.
I don't know either.
I don't know either. I think Buddy's got it over here.
Oh, you got that one?
Yeah.
There?
Yeah. All right. Fucking fuck ass, God, dude.
Hey, Natalie.
This would be a good time for me to do a solo show because I am completely fucked up. And I don't mean that like in a drunk way. I mean like I just can't seem to get my act together here. But I can roll back and forth very nicely. You see that?
Yeah.
That's because of hey, Rebecca's in the house. It's because I got hardwood floors now, Rebecca. That's why I can roll all about the room. Not that I'm going anywhere, but you know, whatever. All right, you guys ready to do a goddamn podcast?
Let's do it.
Have any of you guys seen Day of the Triffids from 1963? Rebecca, I know you've seen it. Probably not. Odd Mother, Day of the Triffids, 1963. Maybe? No? Nobody? There you go.
There you go.
You're probably wondering why Monica is staring at her knees right now. To be honest, Buddy and I are wondering the same thing. I don't know that there's a reason for that. All right, here we go, you maniacs. We only get half of Buddy on YouTube. Buddy cuts off right about here. Now all we get is an ear. And the ear is going fast.
Where did Buddy go?
That's right, you maniacs. We're talking about Day of the Triffids from 1963. This one is written by Bernard Gordon, directed by Steve Seekley. Stars Howard Keel, Nicole Mori, and Jeanette Scott. What are you doing? You're freaking me out. Where are you going?
I was looking for a show.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I thought you just didn't want to participate anymore, and you're just
She's bailing on it.
casually making your way out of the show. Oh, you good now?
Would you look
I
at
am
the top?
so retarded. Look at this.
What did you do?
This is how.
Oh, look at you.
Oh.
Wow.
She's over
Gotta
here running
stand
around.
around.
Your parole officer is watching, by the way.
I'm so blonde.
She was very blonde. I don't know if you guys noticed the lustry hair here. All right, so we're talking about Day of the Triffids. Killer Plants. You're exactly right, Rebecca.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's got like a much more like metaphysical feel to it, if that makes any sense. So if you guys have seen 28 Days Later, you're going to notice a lot of similarities. 28 Days Later, I think, borrowed a lot from Day of the Triffids, which I don't, what, you guys aren't seeing that at all?
No, explain
Okay,
yourself.
it's got the exact same beats. Guy survives the apocalypse by being incapacitated in a hospital, right? Gets up, starts wandering around looking for survivors, right? Runs into the military who consequently fuck him over, right?
Okay.
Same thing, both movies, right?
I was thinking of Walking Dead.
Yeah, to an extent, that too. Except it didn't take 4 months for us to get there,
Right.
In Day of the Triffids or 28 Days Later. So our movie starts with a voiceover type of a thing and like a little documentary style situation where some guy's going to explain to us the origin of the Triffid. I don't know if any of this is true. I don't know anything about plants, to be honest with you. But apparently, for the context of this story, Triffids originated from a meteor crash and have spread since then. So thus we have terrestrial Triffids here on the planet Earth. Now, our story is going to pick up during another meteor shower, a very psychedelic one.
Yeah.
Yellows and blues and reds. And apparently it's a worldwide meteor shower, too, because we're going to get glimpses of the pyramids, the Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower. That's what meteors sound like, too. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. And we're going to cut to a hospital in London. And that's where our protagonist is laid up. He has sustained some kind of an eye injury. I'm going to say that this is post-World. I mean, it's obviously post-World War II, but for the purposes of the story, it's going to be like right after World War II, because apparently this guy's some kind of fighter pilot. Mm-hmm. He sustained an injury in battle and thus has bandages over his eyes. And he's all pissed off because he doesn't get to see the big meteor shower. And the doctors and the nurses are in there, and they're like, dude, check out the fucking meteor shower. And he's like, I can't. I got goddamn bandages on my eyes. And he turned on the radio, and the guy on the radio is like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Look at the goddamn psychedelic meteor shower. And then he's like, God damn it, can you just take the bandages off? The doctor's like, no, dude. Got to leave the bandages on. We're going to take them off at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. You're going to love it. Then, sorry, the meteor shower will be over by then, but that's that. They got to stay on until 8 a.m., and I apologize. So that sucks. But there's a hot little nurse there, and she's kind of, flirting them up a little bit. So that's great. So while that's going on, we're going to cut to a unnecessary subplot that is taking place where we have a guy in an island with his wife. Now, apparently this dude is some kind of a scientist and a bit of an alcoholic, as they say. In a lighthouse on an island. Yes, lighthouse. It's a lighthouse on an island, surrounded by the sea, i.e., lots of salt water. That's going to come into play later on in the movie. So he's all bent because he's an alcoholic, and his wife keeps hiding his bottle of booze. So now he's really bent. He's like, you know what? I'm on off this island. It's claustrophobic, and I want to go somewhere where I can just go get a bottle of scotch whenever I want. She's like, dude, you're an alcoholic. We're supposed to be dissecting stingrays right now, and you're not doing it because you're hammered, and you're just being a bitch because you want to get more hammered.
And it is cold.
Right now? No, it is not.
It is cold.
It's not cold.
I have a jacket.
We have the window open. It's boiling hot. Me and Buddy are like crowded around the window trying to get some fresh air.
Why you see half of me? I'm like, oh, the cool air.
Yeah. Monica looks like she just got off the slopes, for Christ's sake. She's got a ski parka on. Parka. It's a parka. Green.
Everybody always says that, and it's super thick.
I'm not touching I'm not going to touch your ski parka. Whatever you call it. Anyway. So that's fun. He's all bent out of shape. So basically, we have if these guys had a psychic little boy with them, they would be the Torrances from The Shining. But he's all fired up. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna get out of here. She's like, all right, dude. All right, whatever the fuck. There's a ferry coming in the morning. We'll get on the ferry. We're just gonna abandon all of our equipment, our research. We're gonna abandon everything so you can go be a drunk like you are somewhere else, and I'm gonna follow you because I'm your fucking wife. And this really sucks for me. But she reluctantly decides to go along with it. Now, that was happening while the meteor shower was going on. So that's all well and good. Mm-hmm. From there, we're going to cut to the next morning. Well, actually, first we're going to cut to the Royal Botanical Gardens, which I guess is some kind of a big deal atrium type of a situation there. And we get a cute little situation where the night security guard is like being stalked around by a killer plant. Was it just me, or did the Triffids make like diarrhea noises as they were moving around? They're like, they're not sneaking up on anybody like that.
No.
Either there's a killer plant outside, or my old buddy Dale is here to see me. Either way, I'm not letting them in. So I don't know what's going on.
I think it was the dragging sound.
Or maybe they ate a lot of bad food or something. I don't know, but they're making a lot of weird noises. Science plus island equals disaster. You're exactly right, Rebecca. And on a global scale this time. So there's that. So that's pretty gnarly. We're gonna cut. He basically gets stalked around the atrium by this killer Triffid. The Triffids, as portrayed in this movie, look like how would you describe it? They look like
Venus flytrap plant.
they look like dime store versions of what was her name? Betty from Little Shop of Horrors, like cheap versions of that. Yeah, exactly. But mounted in shopping carts with people making fart noises behind them. So there's that. So he eventually gets cornered by the Triffid, and then it's got like these big stupid tendril things, and they just kind of whack him around a little bit. But then he turns green, which apparently is a thing, and then they kind of give him a bear hug, and then like the main bud thing like comes on his head and like rah, 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 and then he's dead. So the Triffid ate the security guard. I'm sorry, security guard, but you are a casualty number one, as they say. From there, we're going to go to the next morning. And our protagonist, guy by the name of Jim, he's waking up, and it's now 9 o'clock. We know that because we can hear the Tower of London outside chime 9 times. Mm-hmm. And he's like counting the chimes. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Oh, shit, it's 9 o'clock. I'm late for my bandage removal. So he wakes up. He still can't see a fucking thing, mind you. So he's like, okay, I'm ready. Let's get this fucking Band-Aid off my eyes. Starts looking, well, not looking around. He's like, where? Anybody? Now we're cutting to 28 days later where the hospital is completely abandoned and wrecked to shit. There's like overturned carts and things. Aren't those the ones you can see the zippers in the back? Yeah, pretty much, Odd Mother. Some crappy costuming going on here, but it's 1963. Mm-hmm. So it's tantamount to a Godzilla type of a situation. So now he wakes up and he's like, where the fuck is everybody? Starts walking around the hallways. Hello, anybody? Finally, he's like, shit, I'm just going to take the fucking Band-Aids off. They were supposed to come off an hour ago anyway. Takes the bands off. A little blurry for a second. Then he starts to focus. Of course, his eyes are okay, which is great. So now he's walking around the hospital. He starts hearing screaming from various rooms. Eventually, he comes across his doctor, who we can tell right off the get-go, this dude is either high or drunk, or in this case, blind. So he's like just standing in the hallway, and he's like, "Hey, Dr. Smitty, what the fuck, man? You were supposed to come take my Band-Aids off. What the hell's going on? Was there a party in here or something?" And he's like, "I need to come to my office and do an examination on me." He's like, "Wait a minute, man. You're the doctor. I'm the patient. That's not how any of this works. That's not how this works, Monica.
I know.
Doctor, patient. What am I examining you for?" And he's like, "Just come up here." So they go up to his office, and he does like a quick ocular examination on him. Takes a little pen light, sticks it in his eye. Eyes aren't dilating, and the doctor's like, "Just as I suspected, the ocular nerves have been completely destroyed." And he's like, "What the fuck happened? What do you just went blind overnight? What are you talking about?" He's like, "It was the meteor shower, you see. The effects of the radiation or whatever." So while he's doing that, he's like, "Okay, I need you to go into my office and get the little black satchel in my desk." So Jim leaves the room, goes and looks around in the doctor's office. He's like, "Hey, where's the fucking satchel? I don't see anything." While he's gone, the doctor just gets up and launches himself right out the window. Boom! Commit suicide.
Yeah.
What a punk ass.
Why?
Come on, man. You're the only doctor. You could at least.
Why?
But you got a dude right here who can see. So he can, you can walk him around. He can, I'll walk you through some shit, right? Your fucking microphone has not been on this entire time, sweetie. Oh my God. Look at that. Is yours on, buddy?
Yes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to my co-host, Miss Monica. She's like a phantom here in the studio. Oh, no. Somebody's got some editing to do after the show. Well, you didn't say anything, so we got that going for us. Anyway, so there's that. So he's like, oh, fuck. Now we go right back to 28 Days Later mode, where he just kind of gets out and starts wandering around the streets of London, which are now deserted and look like a bomb went off. You sound like riffraff when you do that. Oh, yeah, I can see that, definitely. It's astounding. Anyway, so he's walking right now. There's like survivors, though. So I guess we're a little bit away from 28 Days Later like that, because in this one, there's actually survivors walking around, but they're all blind. It's a problem. And they're like, feeling around, trying to get it, what's going on? I don't know. He goes to the train station because he wants to get back to his ship, I guess, which is in the, I don't know, off the harbor or something like that. So goes in there. He's like, hey, when's the next train coming in? And the guy behind the counter's like, I don't know. I can't see anything. I don't know what I'm doing. Can you see? Help me. And then a big crowd starts to circle this guy. He's like, oh my God, can you see? Yes. Will you call my wife for me? Will you take me to get a cab? Will you? He's like, oh, whoa, hey, everybody just calm down. Apparently everybody here except for me is blind all of a sudden. And so probably no cabs. I don't know. I'll call your wife. I don't know where she's at, but whatever the hell. And he's starting to really get mobbed on. So they're like, all right, give me some space, would you fucking assholes? Oh, Lord, Night of the Blind Folk. Yeah, that'd be pretty close to it. So he's like, God, give me some room. Goes out to the train platform where a train, I guess it derails. I think it was supposed to stop, but it just kept going or something. But there's a train accident at the train station. And eventually it screeches to a halt and people start piling out of the cars. All these motherfuckers are blind. Hey, Jim's in the house. How much do each of you charge for autographs? I'll pay you. Jim. You want my autograph? I'll give you $5. I'll give you $5. How about that? Anyway, all these blind people start coming out, and it's like a big mob, and they're all trying, feeling each around, trying to find what the fuck's going on. One little girl comes out, and she can plainly see. And she's like, oh, get off me. And then everybody's like, oh, my God, she can see. Some fat guy just grabs her. And she's like, you're coming with me, young lady. And she's like, no, get off me. Now, Jim sees this, and the little girl sees him. And he's like, So the fat guy is pushing the little girl towards Jim. And Jim's like, I got you. So he grabs the girl away from the fat guy. And he's like, hey, go fuck yourself. And he's like, no, I need that girl. And he takes a swing at him. But, the guy's blind. So Jim just kind of walks away from him. And then that's pretty much that. So now Jim has a survivor with this little girl. So from there, they start walking. Again, London is deserted and a giant disaster, and there's blind people staggering around all over the place. And this is where we come to another Triffid. This motherfucker in the park, it's a Triffid. It's a big Triffid. It's the big, tall. These things are tall. They got 7-8 feet on them. And this fucking thing eats a dog in front of Jim and what's her name? What was the girl's name? Karen, I think.
Karen.
Yeah, Jim and Karen. So that sucks. And they're like, what the fuck was that? The fucking plane just ate a dog.
Yeah.
And then the thing starts, making the diarrhea noises and squish, blobbing towards them. So these things don't move that fast though. So that's cool. So they're like, fuck this thing right off. Let's get out of here. So they leisurely walk away from the Triffid as they should. And then they keep walking and this thing's coming after them. Eventually, they get to the Bridge of London where they find a car that's halfway usable, so they get in the car. Now we're right back to 28 days later, because now we have the big car scene where they have to go through the London Tunnel, which they do. They don't get stuck in the London Tunnel like Jim and his survivors did in 28 Days Later, though. They actually make it through, where when they come out on the other side, though, there's really thick fog. And now we're going to cut, right about now is when we cut back to our friends in the lighthouse. These two are doing a pretty good job of just fighting and arguing the whole time, but it's the next morning now, and they're expecting a ferry to come pick them up so El Drunkarino over there can go get himself some more booze. So they go rolling out to the pier or whatever lighthouses have and ways of exit, and they're expecting a ferry to come get them, and there's no fucking ferry. So they got their bags packed, and they're like, fucking ferry, I don't know. So they go back inside and they're trying to listen to the radio. They're trying to call people. Nobody's answering, of course. So they're getting the idea that something foul may be afoot in jolly old England, and they are correct. as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're starting to get a little worried. Now we're going to cut back to Jim and Karen. They're cruising along. The fog gets really thick, and eventually their car gets stopped. I think there was like a big blockage in the road or something like that, but they're like, oh, shit. So they get out. They're thinking they're going to clear the blockage, much like 28 days later. But while they're out there trying to clear the blockage, they get accosted again by more Triffids. And this time they have to make the snap decision, much just like 28 days later, that they have to abandon said vehicle and just take it on foot because they can't be fucking around or they're going to get eaten by the dire Triffids. So they're like, well, I mean, we got some time. These motherfuckers ain't moving fast at all. We can hear them coming through the fog, so we know which way they're coming. I tell you what, let's just leave the car. They're clearly coming from this direction. We'll head off that way, see what happens. So that's what they do. They get walking through the fog. They're doing fine. More Triffids, more bullshit. Now we're going to cut to some pretty heavy stuff, okay? We didn't get any of this in 28 days later, but we get it here. We're going to start off with a cruise ship, I believe, that's out at sea. And everybody on the fucking cruise ship is blind. And that really sucks.
That's a boring party.
Oh, fuck. And I imagine those vending machines are going to get some serious thrashings. But the captain keeps coming over the loudspeaker, and he's like, so everything's fine. We're doing pretty good. Hey, you guys can like see stuff, right? Can any of you guys see stuff? Because no, not that there's any problems, but just wondering if any of you guys can see anything. We'd really appreciate it if you'd come on up and come hang out with us here at the bridge. Yeah, pretty much. Also, while that's going on, some more bullshit. There's a plane flying completely blind around London. And the pilots are blind. What do you call them? Stewardesses, whatever they are. They're all blind. The passengers are all blind. So again, we have the captain coming over the loudspeaker. Yeah, everything's good. We're going to be landing here pretty soon. Quick raise of hands. Any of you guys see anything right now? Like anything at all? Anybody? And while that's going on, of course, the co-pilot is trying to get somebody on the old radio, air traffic control. Hey, you guys want to walk us through this? Because we can't see anything all of a sudden, and we don't know what the fuck is going on anymore. And I think we might be running out of gas too. So, give us some directions, or I can't see. I can't see anything. I can't see a fucking thing. Of course, nobody's answering. Nobody can see anything. The people at the air traffic control center can't see anything either. So, of course, the plane does a nosedive and blows up in the middle of London with women and children aboard. That's a little heavy for 1963, dude. I was thinking maybe they do like a landing in a field or something, but no.
They started a riot at the plane.
Woo, yeah, the passengers are like, fucking captain can't see either. You didn't tell us that shit. So I don't know what they thought they were going to accomplish. They all rush towards the cockpit like
they're going to jump in.
Yeah, okay. Let's all 39 of us get in here. I'm sure we can figure something out.
Let's kick that pilot's ass.
Yeah, I'm going to beat him up. Blind son of a bitch. So that's pretty heavy, man. I was like, oh God, we didn't need to see that. But we got to see it. That really sucked. Now we're going to cut back to Jim and Karen. They're still wandering through the fog. Everything's cool. Periodically, they're getting, hearing the diarrhea sounds from the fog, i.e. Triffids are out there. Eventually, they run into somebody just kind of mosey. It was like a younger lady and a teenage girl, and they're moseying through the fog also. And they're like, "Oh my God, thank God you're here. Mr. Coker sent you, right?" And they're like, "No, actually, we're lost, and we want to. I don't know. We're hoping maybe you know where we are." And they're like, "Wait a minute, you guys can see stuff." And they're like, "Hey, you guys can see stuff too! Woohoo!" And they're like, "Yeah, okay, we got like a little makeshift hospital going on for people that can see stuff. So why don't you come on back with us? We'll get you at least a hot meal and a place to sleep for the night." So they go back there, and this is where we're right back in 28 days later land, because now we're going to a quote-unquote it's not really a military installation yet, but it's going to get there that way very soon. It's like a Swiss chalet kind of a thing.
Yeah. The lady lives there.
Yeah, we're in France now, by the way.
Mhm.
Somehow we got off out of England and into France, which England is an island, is it not? So, I mean, they did cross the London Bridge. I didn't see them cross any other bridges.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, how did they get there?
They swam. They swam it. They swam the English. They swam the English Channel.
English Channel.
That's what it was. They swam the English. You didn't. They toweled off on the other side. That's why they weren't wet. So they clearly swam the
There
English
was a
Channel.
secret road built.
That's what it was. There's a
Underground.
there's a zip line. Is what this zip right across there.
I never even thought of that. Noticed it.
I'm-
Why you gotta nitpick?
That just occurred to me right now. Suddenly they're in France. No explanation. They're on. I don't know, whatever the fuck. I don't care. Anyway, they're in France now, and they're at this French chalet kind of a thing. It's a big French house, and they're like, "Hey, this is our makeshift house. Come on in here." So we have like 3 people here that can see, the Cokers who live there, and then we got like a gaggle of blind people that they're trying to help out while they're there on the cruise ship. I didn't see them get on the cruise ship, Oddmother. I don't know. You could be right though. I would hate to think that they got on the cruise ship and then did absolutely nothing to help the people on the cruise ship except to get off in France. I don't remember that. If they did and they didn't help those people, then they're fucking assholes. No, they couldn't get on the train because it crashed.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Anyway, they're in France. That's all that matters, okay? So they're there and they're helping these people out. There's a very hot chick there that's clearly interested in Jim. Her name's Fatima. She's Italian, and that is okay. And she's getting like a little friendship going with what's her name there, Karen.
Mhm.
And Fatima has some news that apparently there is a French air base, oddly enough, named Toulon. Little nugget there for you. And they think that military installation is still functioning and can provide safety for anybody that gets over there. So now they have like a destination. They want to get to the air base Toulon to, maybe they can figure something out from there. So the next day rolls around. Karen's got like a kind of a younger sister relationship with Bettina. So Jim decides they're going to hang out for a little bit, see if they can't help these guys out before they take off again. So they're outside, they're cruising around, and we see a plane fly over, except it goes over and then it crashes right into the dirt. So they're like, oh, fuck, what happened there? So they go after the wreckage, and they're like, hey, man, they find the pilot. He's on the verge of death, and they're like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, I came from Toulon. And they're like, is the base okay? And he's like, yeah, I think so. And then he dies. Was it just me, or was he wearing a Nazi uniform? It looked like he was wearing
It
a
did
Nazi.
look like that. Yeah.
I don't know if we should trust this dude. I'll tell you right now. I don't know what his plans are, but that
everything is great.
Yes. you have the tickets and the peppers. It's very strange, but they're like, oh, okay, perfect. But while they're there talking to this half-dead Nazi, they hear all the diarrhea noises in the woods around there, and they're like, okay, everybody be quiet. We got the Triffids are coming, and they see like 3 or 4 Triffids just diarrhea their way past, not even paying attention to them. They go to like a weird pit that's just over the ridge where they find like thousands of baby Triffids, like just gestating there, and they're like, oh shit. So apparently, for a full-grown Triffid, it only takes about 24 hours. So, which means we have about 24 hours to evacuate the chalet, where these motherfuckers turn into the big Triffids, and we have a serious problem on our hands. Like, oh shit! So they go hauling ass back to the chalet, get everybody mobilized. Unfortunately, somebody else got there first. This is where our military assholes from 28 Days Later come into play. To be fair, though, these military assholes seem like they were okay. I mean, other than partying and dancing, they got a little rapey for a second there.
Yeah.
Give them another hour or two. I think we were headed straight to date rape town. Dude, you can't be raping blind women. I mean, that's like a whole other level of shitty things to do. I mean, rape is bad. Raping handicapped people. No way. No way. So they get back to the chalet. Now there's like a full party going on. There's like 50 people there all of a sudden. A lot of them are wearing like military uniforms. So they're like, oh, sweet. They came to rescue us. They go in there and Fatima comes rolling out. She's like, I don't think they're military. I think they're ex-convicts or something with military uniforms. But they brought chicks with them too. So, because there's like chicks that can see, and they're all dancing on tables and stuff. I'm like, I'm good, man. We can hang with these dudes, but they don't know. And a few of them do get a little rapey with the blind ladies. One of them is like trying to shove one into a room, and she's like struggling, and then Jim shows up and knocks that guy out. Another one's like trying to drag one upstairs. He's got to knock that dude out. Saves Fatima from these clowns. Unfortunately, he gets Karen out of there, gets her in one of the vehicles. Like, okay, we got to get out of here. I'm gonna go see if I can get through the others. Fatima, on her way out, gets surrounded by Triffids and killed. Now the Triffids have fully gestated to their 7-8 foot stature and are now surrounding the building and coming through the windows. Good news, Jim, Karen, and the weird house mom lady who was kind of hot, the redhead, whatever her name was, they make it out. They're the only survivors. They go hauling ass out of there, and they're all good. The rest of everybody in the house gets like the Triffids come through the windows and doors. They're all shooting at the Triffids, and nothing's helping at all. Now we're going to cut back to our friends at the lighthouse. Now, to be fair, I've glazed over our friends at the lighthouse quite a bit because they are not important to the story. That's all they're doing. And I read in the trivia that all the lighthouse footage crap storyline was added after because once they finished the movie, they only had about 40 minutes. So they just kind of shot this stuff off the cuff just to fluff it up a little bit. They're like still trying to figure out what's going on, where everybody went, and all that shit. While they're doing that, a Triffid shows up and tries to break into the lighthouse.
How did it show up?
It's a fucking good question, man. That's a fucking good question. I can't give you an answer. Regardless, they managed to fight it off, like with I think it was a coat rack or something, like a weird spear thing.
Yeah.
And okay, this part doesn't make any sense later in the movie because they like stab it and then it like goes down. It doesn't die though. It just kind of loses consciousness or something because later on it escapes. But later on, that part isn't going to make any sense. I'll get to that in a second. So, like, what the shit is going on? A plant just came in here, tried to kill me and my wife. I need another drink. Oh, shit, we're out of booze. Fucking fuck. So that's pretty stupid. Now we're going to cut back to Rick and Karen, who are our main storyline here. So Rick, Karen, and the school marm lady have made it out of there. They get a pretty good distance away. Can Triffids do stairs? Not really, Odd Mother.
Not very well.
Not really. We don't actually get to see them climb anything because I think for the most part, these things were mounted in shopping carts. So in lieu of climbing plant footage, what we get is like tendrils going like around stairs and like slapping at stairs and stuff like that, as if to say they're going stairs. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so from there, we're going back to Rick and Karen. They make it out of France. They want to go to Spain now because they get to the air base at Toulon. It's been blown to shit. There's like flames and everything. There's nobody there. It's all fucked. Like, shit. And their truck is out of gas. So they're like, fuck, now what are we going to do? So they just start walking for a little bit, and then they come to this weird junkyard / circus type of a situation where they steal an ice cream, what I believe to be an ice cream truck.
That's what it looked like.
I don't know if it was an ice cream truck or not, but it had some kind of a loudspeaker on it. So I don't know what other vehicle has a loud. Are there other vehicles with loudspeakers? Ice cream truck. Yeah, I'm gonna go ice cream truck on this.
Political vehicles.
Yeah, vote for Arnold Schmeckel for Assembly District 12. Arnold Schmeckel. Anyway, so you're welcome, Mr. Schmeckel, for that free publicity. So they get in that, he turns on the loudspeaker and Karen's like, oh, look at this. He's like, turn that shit off, man. It's annoying. They get in there and now they want to go to Spain because apparently there's an American air base in Spain and that one might still be up and running. So now we've gone from England, France, now we're headed to Spain. We're doing a tour of Europe here. It's very, very fascinating. So they get going. They get across the border into Spain, and the first thing they come to is a blind dude out in the middle of the road kind of flagging them down. They're like, hey, man, you can't be out in the middle of the road. The fucking plants are going to eat you. And he's like, I know, I'm very sorry. I can't see anything, and my wife is pregnant. And he's like, oh, fuck. Really? Now? You got to do this now?
Go to the pregnant card.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Let's go take a look at your pregnant wife. Gonna fuck us all up. So they go to this dude's house. He's of course got like a big palatial Spanish estate, which is actually pretty pimp. His wife is in fact pregnant, and by pregnant I don't mean like 5 months pregnant or even 9 months pregnant. I mean she's going into labor pretty much as we were pulling into the driveway, which sucks. And he's like, "You can't just leave us here. We've been calling people on the radio." He's like, "Oh, you got a radio? Yeah, let me see if I can get anybody out there." Triffids Euro trip. That's exactly right. That's exactly right there, odd mother. He's like, "Oh, well, let me see if I can get anybody on the radio." So he starts calling his American friends at the American Air Base in Spain. And he's like, "Hey, anybody there? Can you maybe?" He can hear them, but they can't hear him. They've got like a repeating emergency broadcast signal, and they're basically stating that they're making their last evacuation the following day at noon. So they need to get to that air base by noon, or after that everybody's gone and you're on your own. So he's like, "Oh fuck! All right, let's go. We'll go right now." As he turns around, of course, the senorita goes into full-on labor, like water breaks, moaning, groaning, all that shit. And he's like, "You can't just leave me. Leave the ladies. They'll help me give birth." And he's like, "Oh fuck! Right now? This has to happen right now. Can we do it in the car?" No. We have to do it here. So he's like, "Oh Jesus, okay." In the meantime, we hear more of the diarrhea noises coming up and around the hill.
Getting closer.
Yeah. So he's like, "Oh shit!" So they come up with this ingenious scheme that they are going to electrify the fence going around the casa or whatever you call that.
Mm-hmm.
So they do that. That's pretty cool. Triffids show up. They start getting zapped. And, it looks like it hurts them. If nothing else, it pisses them off.
Yeah.
So they kind of back up off the fence, but they don't go anywhere. They just stay there. So they just kind of plant themselves, no pun intended, for that night. And Jim goes out the next morning, and they're all just standing there making the diarrhea noises. He's like, "Oh, what the fuck? They haven't moved? They haven't even moved. They're just standing here. How are we going to figure this shit out?" So while him and Karen are having this conversation, the generator going full blast, like right behind him. He's like, "Turn that thing off. I can't think with that thing." So they go and turn the generator off, and all the Triffids just start like dispersing. Like, "Oh shit, it's the noise. They're attracted to the noise, Monica. It was the noise the whole time." He's like, "Okay, here's what we're going to do. We got about 2 hours to get to the air base at the coast. I'm going to fire up the ice cream truck full blast, and I'm going to go hauling ass down the road. All the Triffids are going to follow me. You guys are going to get in Senor Fuego's car, and, once they're all gone, then you go hauling ass to the air base as fast as you can. I'm going to loop around and try to meet you at the air base to get on the boat to get the fuck out of here. How does that sound?" And they're like, "Oh, Jim, no, Jim, you can't leave us. We have to do this together. We're not going without you." And he's like, "Just do it, God damn it." So that's exactly what happens. He fires up the loudspeaker, goes tearing off down the road. All the Triffids follow him.
No worries.
I gotta wipe that off now, don't I? So after that, they get in the car and they go lazily cruising down the road. They get into the air base, get rescued, get on the boat, and go taking off. Actually, they miss the boat. They have to get into like a canoe and row themselves out to the boat. Jim is like maybe like 3/4 of a mile behind him now, and he's got to like whip it around to catch up to them. Hopefully, get on the boat. But he makes it to the cliff and he sees them rowing out and he's like, "Hey, I'm right there. Here I come." That's pretty much the last week. They're like, "Hey, there he is." That's pretty much the end of that part of the movie. That's the end of that whole storyline. That should have been the end of the movie altogether, because right now it's about to get really silly. Now I think that would have been a good end to the movie.
Yeah.
But instead, we got to go back to these nutsacks at the lighthouse. They've been up all night conducting tests on the Triffid tissue, and they find it to be completely impenetrable except for coat racks. If you have a coat rack and you whack one hard enough with it, out like a light. Who'd have thought? While that's going on, they're like, oh shit, they look down there. The Triffid that they knocked out with the coat rack has regained consciousness and slithered its diarrhea ass right out the door. Then they went full Night of the Living Dead on us and boarded everything up, as they should, but continued doing their little experiments. Now it's the next morning, and the Triffids outside have had about enough of their bullshit. Now there's like 40 or 50 of them.
Yeah.
You're probably wondering how. So are we. So are we, to be honest with you. But eventually they break through the boards, and they're like climbing up the stairs to get at them. And in just a random, act of desperation, the guy, Jack Torrance, grabs a fire hose and like starts blasting them down the stairs. Once the water hits them, completely dissolves them.
Oh, yeah.
Salt water.
Mush.
Salt water, by the way, turns them into green slime. Now, you're probably wondering how the fuck they got to the island to begin with in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea, which is salt water.
Mm-hmm. They were already there, but the meteor shower brought them to life.
Absolutely.
Whoa.
Mystery solved. This is why you're on the show, Monica.
That's just people want.
The people went blind from the meteor shower, right?
And then the plants came to life. Only this certain kind of species.
The Triffids.
Yes.
But being on an island, which is usually comprised entirely of rock, not a lot of topsoil there, in the middle of a saltwater sea. Just saying. And that, my friends, is Day of the Triffids from 1963. Monica, I picked this movie on your behalf because this is a movie you watched a lot with your dad as a kid, right?
Yes, because there was a lot of the sunflower plants.
Oh, yeah.
So they always scared me.
Yeah.
This movie reminded me.
I can see that.
One and the other one, what was that one where the people were stuck in the house and the plants had overtaken the house? It was an old 50s, 60s movie. Like, it was an anthology one.
You're not thinking of Creepshow?
No, it's older than that. It's also the one, this one, where the voodoo mask comes to life.
Mask. Well, that was an Elvira movie.
No.
He was in 3D, right?
No.
The Mask?
This is an anthology.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
All right, we'll do some research on that.
Yes.
There you have it, kids. It's worth it. I think it's not a bad show. Be honest with you. 28 Days Later borrowed heavily from this one, and I didn't realize how heavily until I revisited it this last night.
I didn't.
I'm just
watching.
The beats of the plot are pretty much spot on. The ending's a lot more chipper in Day of the Triffids, but everything else is like, it's almost like a paint by numbers type of a thing. Except I'm much more terrified of infected naked fuckers chasing me around than houseplants that make. Was it Trilogy of Terror? Oddmother says Trilogy of Terror.
No.
That's a good one. The little voodoo. That thing was a savage. And Karen Black was rather attractive in her day. And not a bad show, I think. I think this one's worth a watch. If you like a post-apocalyptic type of situation, you'll probably dig this. It always turns out to be humans that are the biggest assholes in these situations. And this one didn't disappoint in that category. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
What did you guys think?
Not too bad.
Well, I like it.
Well, of course, Monica.
I'll always like it.
It's sentimental value, right? Buddy, you're picking next week. What are some horror films from your childhood, sir?
From my childhood, Poltergeist.
That scared you?
Yeah. I was like 7 years old.
We can do that, but I'm going to rip it to shreds. Just so
it's fine. Yeah. If you really want to value is terrible,
you're exactly right. It's pretty dumb. I'm sorry, psycho buddies in inmates, but Poltergeist. And you watch it today. That's all I'm saying. It was great when it came out, but watch it today. It's kind of dumb.
Which one?
Original, the first one.
I actually think the second one was more. That old man.
That old man.
Yeah.
Oh, and the new one?
No, the second one,
Oh,
part
the
two.
Part two.
The part where he's like begging her to let him in the house.
Yeah.
Have to let me in.
So.
You're not coming in here, you fucker. I don't care if you're a priest or not. Get the fuck out of here. All right, guys. I think that's about going to do it for this show. Thank you very much, Psycho Bunnies and Padded Room inmates, of course. Silver Bullet. Silver Bullet's a good one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like that one. A little hot, juicy action. Giant teeth coming out. He's more scary than the werewolf. I think he is.
The priest was scary.
The guy from Twin Peaks?
Yeah.
He's pretty gnarly. All right, thank you guys very well. What are we doing next week? We got to tell them. You want to do
Yes, let's do Poltergeist.
Oh, fuck me. All right.
Let's rip it.
Join us next week. Join us next week for Poltergeist, Padded Room, Psycho Bunnies, inmates, whoever you are. Yeah, we'll be here again next week. Well, I don't know how many of these guys are going to show up, but I will definitely be here. And we'll see you next week with Poltergeist. And we're going to finish the podcast first, so we'll come back with some other stuff. Oh, I've got so much editing to do tonight.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, we'll hang for another minute with you guys, though. Any questions or comments or concerns, complaints? I've been getting a lot of haters lately.
Anthology.
Yeah.
That's not the one with, Joan Collins, the story of her husband that turns into a tree, or the tree that breaks into the house.
I don't think so. I think you're thinking of Tales, the original Tales from the Crypt.
Okay.
Or was it Vault of Horror?
I'm wondering which one.
I always get those two confused.
Because there was one where there was a plant that came to life and surrounded the entire house. You couldn't even open the doors.
Might have been Vault of Horror. I've got them both on
I'll
DVD.
look it up.
We'll check that shit out. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry we're late this week, individuals. It's my fault. I redid the whole studio here, so we had to fuck with camera angles and rearrange microphones and all that kind of shit.
Yeah,
Great show, guys and gals. Thank you very much, parole officer. Did I miss the hate mail? No. Actually, if you want to look at the comments on the YouTube page, go back to the show I did by myself on
2 weeks ago.
No, Strange Color of Your Body's Tears. That's which show the comments are actually.
Oh, okay.
And you'll see me get called a smug prick.
We were here for that.
For the Strange Color of Your Body's Tears? Were you guys?
Yeah.
Or did you just watch it and not show up? Like
I wasn't here on that one.
All right.
You
I think
were here.
I was.
it might have been Jason Harrell.
No. I was here for that.
We'll scroll through the page and see what happened. And I'll show you guys the comment too.
Isn't that the one where the guy keeps getting flashbacks in the apartment building?
Yeah.
And there's an old lady who fantasizes
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
It turns out there's like a dude living in the walls or some shit.
Yes.
Fucking fuck. I think you might have. I think it was you and Jason Harrell. Maybe. I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right, we're gonna kill this feed. We got to finish the podcast, but thank you all again very much for joining us. We'll see you next week with the original Poltergeist. Fuck those haters. I agree. You know what though? We like haters. Jesse, that means we're doing something right. If we didn't have any haters, nobody's watching, right? So, and if there are any haters watching right now, please.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. leave us some shitty comments. We'd love to hear from you. All right, guys.